It's hard to gauge in this era with the heavyweight division. You know, a big talking point since Riyadh season has come into play and Turkey Al Sheikh is that the heavyweight division obviously does seem to get a lot more favour from it. So like fighters like Deontay Wilder, we've been calling for him to retire for ages now, and he's making another comeback. You know, Dillian White, for example, someone who we didn't really think's got a lot left to offer at the top, he's now going in there against Moses Atauma. Um, you know, it's hard to say. I wouldn't be shocked if it is just two left, if it's the right two. If um, uh, it's got to be the Tyson Fury fights. You know, I know Fury said he's happily retired and whatnot, but if you're going to do a two-fight deal with Anthony Joshua, it's got to be a Tyson Fury fight and then a Tyson Fury rematch because both fights will sell extremely well. But if it is going down this road of what was originally rumored to be Dillian White and Jared Anderson, so I think Dillian White now out of the picture with this Moses Atama fight. Um, I think you've got to go for more than two. If Tyson Fury's not in the mix, and like I said with Riyadh season and Turkey Al Sheikh, they can cough up the money that will want to bring Tyson Fury back, and the money that will get everyone interested. And it seems at one point that everyone was interested until Tyson Fury made the shock announcement of his retirement. So hopefully, if it is the Tyson Fury fights, I'd be more than happy to see both AJ and Fury, but particularly AJ, go out after that. But I still think there's more to offer. If he's going to go down with two simple fights like a Jared Anderson and someone else, I'd like to see maybe another two fights where he does challenge the top of the division again and not just try and go out with two easy wins and two easy paydays.
On his ledger is due to the fact that in recent years it's been a case of rebuild. He's done that rebuild, and that's led him to what was a emphatic KO defeat to Daniel Dubois, and this notion that there can't be another rebuild. So another rebuild might be another two fights on top of that, or three to get him into a position. It's more the case of now it's just going straight into these fights. In an ideal world, maybe would if this was 4 or 5 years ago, would it be another rebuild and then that big fight there? Is it a sign of the times where it's just look big fights, we want them now, and if you're in it, you're in it with 2 feet in, and if you're not, then get in and get out. How much do you think it is because of what has happened in his recent fights?
I kind of agree when Eddie has been saying that there's not enough time for a rebuild process. I agree with that. Anthony Joshua's at the back end of his career now. And as nice as it was to see the growth over those I think it was four fights he had as the rebuild. And you could see the improvement each time with the most devastating performance, arguably coming against Francis Ngannou, which again might have been the weakest opposition, but it was the biggest stage and the biggest platform and where he really needed to deliver, and that's exactly what he did. And then going into that Daniel Dubois fight, it wasn't like the Usyk fights where he gave everything he had in both fights and just got beat by the better man. He got starched last time. He got dominated, and it's a lot harder to rebuild from that. And let's say that defeat to Dubois came at the time of the first defeat to Usyk. I think we would have seen a longer rebuild. I think it would only be around the back end of last year or the start of this year that we would have really seen him grow into those big fights. But now there's no time. There's not enough time to go and fight your Jermaine Franklins and your Hellenius. There's not enough time to go and do that now. It's down to the fact now his body's getting older. We've seen that he's had to have a random elbow surgery, which maybe not random, but it's never good when things like that are happening at this stage in your career. He's already had a long career. I think now you've got to go 2 feet in, like you said, Eamon, and target those big fights. It's the only option. There's no time. There's not enough time to go and take 4 or 5 fights. Get in there with your Furies, your Wilders, if Wilder's still knocking about, depending on how he gets on. I believe next weekend or next Thursday, even when he makes his return. Those are the names you've got to target. Those legacy fights. They're the only ones that will be appealing to the public now. Not another rebuild process.
Okay, I have a question to you, Josh, and I have a question to the chat coming up in the form of a poll. So you have some time to think about your response here, Josh, before as I go to the chat for the first time. And the question is that's going in as a poll right now. Vinny, the videographer, back in the backdrop, is going to sort this out for us. And the question is: will Anthony Joshua win another world title? Simply put, yes or no are the options. That is, will Anthony Joshua win another world title? Giving you some context to that is the current situation is an undisputed heavyweight fight is happening in the UK in London, Wembley, between Alexander Usyk and Daniel Dubois. Daniel holding one of the titles and Alexander Usyk holding the rest, a rematch from their fight in Poland. But the thought process seems to be that if Usyk does win, then the belts might fragment because Usyk has a couple of fights left on his own ledger, as he's self-confessed, and Daniel Dubois would be either or. If Dubois was to win on that side of the coin, would be the case that a lot of the mandatories are in place as well too, and we'll see how that goes on with mandatories being gotten over the line because there are so many waiting for an opportunity, and whether the fights and the wants are there for those mandatories. So you would think that with Dubois winning that, it'd be more of a possibility that those mandatories do take place because a lot of them would be in-house, as Frank Warren holds a number of the heavyweight chess pieces. But that is the question, and we'll jump into the chat for the first time on the show and get your thoughts and comments, as one of the chats here just obscures my vision. But we'll go to Wayne Bullard first. It says, haha, why would he pick Deontay Wilder? He's on such a low. And there it is, the thing again in my way. I'm just halfway about to read this gentleman's comment, and then the poll obscures my vision. That is very annoying. Here we go. We'll get it up again. Technical difficulties aside. Here we go. Wayne Bullard. Haha, why would he pick Deontay Wilder? He's on such a low in his career. How does he deserve a fight with AJ? I think that there is a lot of waiting going on in the boxing world. And I believe that Anthony Joshua might be having a look at Deontay Wilder, because that is a fight that still holds some currency. If he comes out and knocks out Terrell Herndon later on this month, then Wilder can shout that he's back to the rooftops, and they can build that fight because it has a lot of history. I would imagine that'd be a fight that was high on the list of Anthony Joshua's team to make, especially with the way that Wilder's looked in recent form too. Stephen Boyle says, AJ versus Fury signed the contract. Doss says, I can't sign it. Josh can't sign it. Let's get it on. I agree with you. But we haven't heard any sort of information that is even a possibility right now, with Fury enjoying his time at Soccer Ray. Did you watch that Soccer Ray, Josh? Did you have a watch of it?
I did. I actually did watch Soccer Aid. I actually don't mind. I think it's quite interesting to really see too much of it, too much of the box world. Apart from Tony Bellew, you put in a stellar performance at fullback.
What did AJ? What did Fury say that was so extra?
Shouted, "We are Spartans," with a few F-bombs in the middle of it at some point beforehand. They got the team fired up though. England still lost though. Typical England.
And everything that comes with it. Sasha English says, well, it won't be with Fury or Usyk or Dubois. Sasha also says, AJ is not going into no mega fight. Would you call Wilder a mega fight? Would it do pay-per-view in the UK? I think so. AJ commands that pay-per-view status for the biggest fights, and I think that is one that would get some lapsed fans of recent years back in because of the history of the two of them. Yours truly, good to see yours truly. And he says AJ should have already retired. That's something I think Eddie Hearn has said previously, that if AJ showed even a percentage of slipping, then they'll ask him to leave the sport. Whether that has happened, don't know, but that is something I think Eddie Hearn has said in the past. Stephen Ball comes back and says, Dave Allen versus Deontay Wilder. Get it. What do you think about this prospective Allen versus Wilder fight? Is that one you're in for, Josh?
I don't mind it. If it all comes down to how Wilder looks, I suppose, next week when he returns. And obviously great for Dave Allen. It's a great payday he'll get. Another headline at, I'm guessing, saying the O2, but I don't see why maybe take that fight up to Manchester, take it to the Co-op. I think it has the ability to do big numbers, take it to the biggest arena. Wilder coming to the UK is always going to do decent numbers now. I wouldn't give Dave Allen a bad shot in the fight just because I don't know what Wilder we've got left. And I think the style that Dave Allen has, a fully fit Dave Allen, and hopefully going into this, I guess, final stage of his career, we're seeing a bit of a more in shape, more focused, more serious Dave Allen, which could be a problem. It really could be a problem. I think the style that he's got is a style that Wilder might not enjoy. Wilder likes having his space to have a look and see when he can land that shot, and Dave Allen doesn't give you that space. I'm not saying by any means Dave Allen definitely wins, but I think it's a closer fight than what people are saying it out to be. I'd give it like a 60-40 Wilder maybe, but that 40 I'd be really backing Dave Allen, because I'd love to see Dave Allen get a huge win like that to cap off what's already been I guess you'd say, a bit of a memorable career and a memorable figure of British boxing.